Hello again, ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs. Hope you are well. Before we start, if you'd like to head over to grahamfrench247.com/donate, there's plenty of ways you can give. I don't have a PO box yet. A few people have asked about that, but I will get one soon if you want to send me something. But as you know, I don't have my own marketing department. In fact, my own marketing department is you. And if you'd like to really support this channel, please tell your friends, tell your neighbours, tell your mum and dad, your rabbits, your hamsters, spread the word. And also, if you'd like to subscribe, give a thumbs up or leave a comment, that will help enormously with the YouTube algorithm. But today we're going to be talking about the RIPA, the Regulatory Investigative Powers Act of 2000. I've known about this for quite some time, and but I don't think most people really appreciate just how intrusive this act is and how many people can actually delve into your communications and your history over the last 12 months of websites you've been looking at or your emails, and also how many different authorities can actually just follow you around. And apart from the security services, they don't really need to get a warrant. All they need to do is ask their boss. And this has been abused a number of times and will continue to do so in the future. What I've done is, because I've had some issues yesterday with some of the live streaming, as in the internet gods for some reason decided I couldn't live stream yesterday. I've had some major problems. I've actually pre-recorded the next segment, and I'm going to play this now and let you listen to what I think about the actual act itself. And I'm going to come back to you after this segment. Website. This is from Wikipedia. Shows you the RIPA, which is the Regulation of Investigatory Powers of Act 2000. So there's a couple of things on this which I agree with, but almost all of it, apart from the few things I agree with, I do not. So this was brought about in Parliament. There's laws which this covers again, which already existed. So let's go through that. And it was basically just the powers of public bodies to carry out surveillance. And that's great if you're the intelligence services or if you're the police, but if you don't know much about this or you've never really heard about this, what I'm going to tell you, I think you'll find quite shocking. So let's just go through all of this. I mean, we're not going to go through all of this. Let's go through all of the headline figures. So this is what the RIPA regulates: the manner in which public bodies may conduct surveillance and access a person's electronic communications. So this enables certain public bodies to demand that an ISP, that'll be like some BT, or, and this is in the UK, or EE, or Sky, or whoever, or Virgin Media, so they keep a record for 12 months of what websites you go to. And if your email provider is in the UK, or your cell phone provider, your mobile phone provider is in the UK, this also covers that as well. But some of this allows certain authorities to get all of your electronic communications, and allows certain authorities only things like your web traffic. So it allows them to request from your ISP any access to your customers' communications, and this in there is the in secret. So you're not allowed to be told that your information's been requested. Enables mass surveillance of communications in transit. That's in transit. That means going backwards and forwards between your device, whether that's a laptop or an Apple TV or a smartphone or a tablet. Anything that goes between your device in your possession or that you're using, and even if it's communicating with a web server, say in America or Australia, they still have the right to get that communication data and that information. Enable certain public bodies to demand ISPs fit equipment to facilitate surveillance. I mean, that's they can just walk into a BT exchange. And in BT, I mean, I've been in some of these buildings, they're called POPs, points of presence. And I was one in Newcastle, and I built a data centre in an old exchange room. And about a quarter of that room was the actual ISP broadband section of it, the POP. And it's dead easy to do this now. I mean, it's almost all software based. If you just put the hardware in, and then if you want to add somebody into that, you just pop their IP address in, and you're laughing. It also enables certain public bodies to demand that someone hand over the keys to protected information. So if you've got encrypted data, they can demand you hand over your private keys which is the decryption software element of it, in order to decrypt. So if you've got encrypted hard drives and you're using, and you can use hardware as well as a passphrase, and not a password. You normally try and always use a passphrase because it's harder to crack. They can demand by law that you hand over either your password, your passphrase, or you can get like a hardware device which it's shows that it's you who's trying to encrypt and decrypt the information, so they can demand that, or you can actually go to jail or be fined if you don't hand that over. This law also allows certain public bodies to monitor people's internet activities. That's in real time, as in, they get reports on an hourly, daily basis or whatever, as well as all the historical stuff from the last 12 months. And also prevents the existence of interception warrants and any data collected with them from being revealed in court. So, I mean, this is completely secret to you. I mean, if you're being spied on by the authorities I'm going to go through in a moment, you know nothing about it. And even though you can go to court and demand it, and just turn around and go, don't have to. That's what this law provides. So it is literally a snooper's charter. So what I'm going to go through now is the different powers that be and the different type of interceptions or communications data they can request, and who is allowed to ask for it, who authorizes it, and then the reason why. So this is the one of the things that I agree with. It's the interception of communications with, say, like wiretaps and reading post. And this is for the likes of your defense intelligence, GCHQ, your military intelligence, secret intelligence services, which is MI6, security services, which is like MI5 and the Met Police and the national crime agencies. And they have to have a warrant from the Home Secretary or the Cabinet Secretary for Justice and the Judicial Commissioner. And that's fine, because if you're looking into major crime or you're looking at certain terrorism, then yes, you want the security services to be able to look into that, because that's by a warrant. So they've got to actually state that's got to be in the interest of national security, or for preventing or detecting serious crimes. That's fine. I don't mind about that. That's what you would want them to do, but it's not just an arbitrarily look into, let's see what Mrs. Jones has been doing down the street because I don't really like her. That's what this law, this act, allows to happen. So there's another one here, use of communications data, and that is the typical use is information about a communication, but not the content of it. It's in the interest, again, of national security. Now, this one is all about is who can ask for this, and this is going to be the long list of people or basically agencies I'm going to give you. And this is the problem I have with this. It says who authorizes it, and it's like a senior member of that authority. So if you're, say, in the Water Board, or if you're in the Financial Conduct Authority, you can just ask your boss, can I go and snoop on Mrs. Jones to see what she's been doing for the last 12 months on our internet? And as long as they say yes, then they can. And this is quite scary, really. So there's directed surveillance, and that's following people. Again, it says in the interest of national security, the purpose of preventing or detecting crime or preventing disorder, in the interest of the economic well-being of the United Kingdom or public safety. And these are very wide-ranging sort of definitions. It's not locked down at all. You can pretty much get it on a whim. And there have been instances where say, like, there was a couple who wanted to get their children into a certain school and they were spied on. And the local authority said it was, well, we just want to make sure that they live in the house they say they do. So they've completely invaded their privacy just based on the fact they want to put the kids in a certain school. And the authority decided they had the authority, the council decided they had the authority just to go and spy on people. It's quite outrageous, really. And then you've got covert human intelligence services. Human intelligence, otherwise known as human. Again, it's the same reasons, national security, and it's the same people, of who can actually look into this. Now, this one just say people listed above, which is your defense, your intelligence services. They can do that, but I've also heard of people like the DWP following people. I've spoken, because again I've done lots of government work, and I've spoken to these people they call themselves intelligence officers. Which is a bit of an oxymoron, really. And I was talking to one woman, and she said, because I asked about how she did this, and how do you follow people, and how do you, what do you have to do? And she said, oh, well, it's not like you see in a television. It's not like you see in Spooks or whatever. We're not allowed to, like break the law. We can't speed. So if anybody is doing over 30 mile an hour in a suburban area, if they're doing over 70 mile an hour on the motorways, we can't break the speed limit in order to catch up with them. So, and she was telling me about an instance of one guy who was driving like a nutter, and they just lost him all of the time. But these days, what they can also do is they can also put a GPS tracker on your car. That's legally allowed as well. So it's becoming more of a sort of like armchair detective, where they can just go and play something on your car and watch what you're doing online. And of course, because they can now get your electronic communications, they can use the data from your phone to track you as well. And that's not as accurate as a GPS tracker on your car, because a GPS tracker on your car can be within sort of like 10, 20, 30 yards, 30 meters or closer. Whereas whereas a cell tower, when you're driving around, I mean, that's hundreds of meters sometimes. It's not that accurate. It'll give you a rough idea, like a rough area, but it's nowhere near as accurate as a GPS tracker on your car. And obviously, none of that is as accurate as people following you around, but they've also got the danger of being discovered. And then you've got the intrusive surveillance. But again, this is the likes of your GCHQs, your MI5s, your MI6s, your national crime agencies, and they've got to ask the Home Secretary for that. They've got to get authorised by a higher authority, not just their boss. And that's fine. I've got no quarrels with that. It's the people in the middle of this table and who have decided that they've been given the authority, and they've just got to ask their boss if they're allowed to do it. So let's just go through the list of the type of people that can actually spy on you and ask for your web traffic or your emails, etc. So the type of communications data that can be accessed varies with the reason for its use. It cannot be adequately explained here, not in this Wikipedia, and there's lots of reasons why these people might want to spy on you. But let's just go through quickly the list of authorities that can ask and request for authority to look at your communications data. So starting at the top, the Charity Commission, the Criminal Cases Review Commission, the Common Services Agency for the Scottish Health Service. There's any county council or district council in England, London Borough Council, the Common Council of the City of London, the Council of the Isles of Scilly, and any county council or county borough council in Wales. And that's any council, basically. Any council can spy on you. Also, on top of that, there's the Department for Transport, and that's for the purposes of marine accidents, rail accident, air accident, or maritime and Coast Guard Agency. There's also in Northern Ireland, if you're listening to Northern Ireland, there's also the Local Government Act, so you could be a district council. There's also the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development for Northern Ireland. There's also the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Investment for Northern Ireland. So back in the UK, there's a Department of Health. There's for the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency. There's the Department of Trade and Industry. There's the Environment Agency. There's the Financial Conduct Authority. There's the Fire and Rescue Authority, and also the Fire Authority for Northern Ireland. The Food Standards Agency. I don't know. I mean, what's that all about? So some of this is bewildering. There's also the Gambling Commission. There's the Gangmasters Licensing Authority. The Government Communications Headquarters, that's GCHQ. That's the Britain's biggest portion of the spying agency. There's the Health and Safety Executive, the HSE, HM Revenue and Customs, so the taxman can ask for it, or the DWP can ask for it. There's the Home Office, which is the border agency part of it. There's the Independent Police Complaints Commission. Now that's a bit odd. So if you decide you want to put a complaint in against your local police, and this is the IPCC, they handle that. They can look at your web traffic or your email communications. That's a bit odd. The Office of Fair Trading, the Pensions Regulator. Why? I don't get this at all. The Office for the Police Ombudsman for Northern Ireland, so it's the same as the IPCC. The Port of Dover Police, the Port of Liverpool Police, the Post Office Investigation Branch. What's that about? Have you been putting the correct stamps on your letters, madam? Oh, I don't know. Well, let's look at your web traffic. That makes no sense whatsoever. The Postal Services Commission, the NHS Ambulance Service Trust. Really? You ring 999 in the UK, get an ambulance, and then they go, oh, I'll have to check your email first, madam. Definitely not. Unbelievable. Then you got the NHS Counter Fraud and Security Management Service. I mean, these people like look into what prescriptions and stuff you've had. I don't know if they are anymore, but there was a prescriptions agency up in Newcastle where they used to check them. There's millions of prescriptions. They used to go through pretty much every single prescription. I knew somebody who worked for them. And there's quite a lot of fraud between doctors and pharmacists. You know, there's a number of people being caught sort of writing prescriptions for people that either didn't exist or people that didn't actually receive it. And it's just a way of money laundering and drug running, really. And then we're getting back to Northern Ireland. There's the Northern Ireland Ambulance Service Health and Social Services Trust, Northern Ireland Health and Social Services Central Services Agency. And then we're getting into the military. Royal Navy Regulating Branch, Royal Military Police. I don't know why they didn't want to have a look at your stuff. The Royal Air Force Police. And then we're getting into Scotland, the Scottish Ambulance Service Board, the Scottish Council, where it's a fire authority, the Scottish Environment Protection Agency. And then we've got the Secret Intelligence Service, which is MI6, Security Service, which is MI5, a serious fraud office. That's fine. You know, I mean, I can understand the likes of SIS and the serious fraud office, you know, wanting to see what you've been up to. But the post office? Really? Anyway, let's crack on. And so we've got things like special police forces, you know, like Scottish Drug Enforcement Agency, territorial police forces. Again, that's fine as long as you've got a warrant. And then the Welsh Ambulance Services NHS Trust. I don't get this at all, and it's really, really odd. Why do these people, I mean, anybody outside of the police, the security services, you know, MI6, MI5, I don't really understand why every man and his dog has got access to electronic communications. And then we get down to this one where it's directed surveillance and covert human intelligence sources. And then you've got the Armed Forces, the Charity Commission, Department of Environment, Department of Trade and Industry, Department of Transport, Department of Work and Pensions, Environment Agency, Financial Conduct Authority, the Fire Authority, Food Standards Agency. Why does the FSA, the Food Standards Agency, want to follow you around? That's weird. Gambling Commission. I mean, this is almost the same list as previously. The Gangmasters Licensing Authority, GCHQ, the Government Communications Headquarters. Yes, I can understand that. That's fine. You know, if you get the spooks and the GCHQ lot that want to follow you around because you're a potential terrorist, then yeah, that's fine. But again, those sorts of people, those organisations, usually they need a warrant to do that. They need to give good reasoning why they want to follow you around, why they want to have a look at your communications. Keeping in mind, of course, that the intelligence agencies deliberately push the web traffic offshore and then back on again. It sort of like does a sort of like a J-turn, offshore and back on, so then they can class that as foreign communications, so they can sort of tap into this without a warrant. So Commissioners of Revenue, Customs, the Home Office for UK Border Agency, not that these guys are any bloody use, like. Ministry of Defence, Northern Ireland Office, Ofcom, Office of Fair Trade, and Office of the Deputy Prime Minister. Now, these are people that follow you around. Ofcom want to follow you around. Office for the Police Ombudsman for Northern Ireland, Postal Services Commission again. If you haven't been putting stamps on, watch out, man, because these guys will follow you around. Port of Dover Police, Port of Liverpool Police, Royal Mail. If you haven't been paying the correct, fees for your postage and for your packages, woe betide, you're gonna get a tap on the shoulder, or at least followed around by postman Pat and his cat. So just watch out for that. Again, Secret Intelligence Service, the Secret Security Services, the Serious Fraud Office, the Welsh Government, and the Territorial Police Force, or a Special Police Force. I don't know what's so special about them. And then you've got directed surveillance, so Health and Safety Executive, the Information Commissioner, Her Majesty's Chief Inspector of Schools. Didn't know that, mind. And then they got the General Pharmaceutical Council. It's this is quite a controversial act, and it's been around for 20 years, and it's been abused a number of times, quite a few times, but where government agencies just sort of dip in, and the thing is, the problem is finding out. You can't find out if someone sort of dipped in to see inside your communications, and I think that's quite scandalous. I think it's quite oppressive. It's all covert. You can never find out. If you do find out, it'll probably only be by accident that these people have been spying on you. So as far as I'm concerned, this is one law that needs to be struck off. It needs to be put back in the box and then the box thrown out. There's no reason for the government or all of these agencies to be spying on your communications or to be following you around. It's completely warrantless. All they need to do for the most part is to get authorization from their boss. They don't need to go and justify it to any sort of higher authority than that. They don't need to go to a magistrate's court. They don't need to get any sort of judicial review. They don't need to go to a judge. They just need to ask their boss, yeah, boss, can I go and spy on this person? Yeah, knock yourself out there. Just keep it quiet. Don't tell anybody because it's a secret. And there are reasons why we need to have this knocked on the head, because if you can just look and you can dip into anybody's communications history willy-nilly. I mean, it sets up all sorts of issues around stalking, looking at what journalists are doing, and the secret here is to make sure that if you have got any reason whatsoever that you don't want likes of your Financial Conduct Authority, Postman Pat, the Financial Conduct Authority or whoever to just peek into what you're doing, because keep in mind that the metadata is extremely, extremely valuable, both from a piecing together what your life is like and also from a commercial perspective, because there's dozens and dozens hundreds and hundreds of companies will buy this data and mix it together with other data, and it becomes, you can literally tell a story of a person's life. So it's very, very intrusive, sort of matching this metadata together. I mean, I've done it myself in the past as a proof of concept, and it's extremely powerful. But that's the issue we've got today, and I'm going to tell you now how to get around it. Yes, indeed. I've just realised, listening to that I said Financial Conduct Authority twice. Maybe I'm losing the plot. Who knows? Or maybe I'll be losing it for a while. So I'm going to show you two different ways of circumventing this, and it's not that hard. You don't have to be highly technical. It doesn't cost you. One of them is for free. One of them is potentially free or a small cost. But if you feel that you don't want dozens and dozens of authorities the ability to look into what you've been looking at, into your emails and stuff, then I've got a couple of tips for you to take a look at. So the first one I'm going to show you is what's called Tor. It's called the Onion Router. And this was a project that was started quite some time ago by the United States Navy. And how it works is, it's also known as the dark web. And I know that's got a really bad name, but you can use Tor for the standard web. And how it works is it uses multiple what we call hops. So there's various Tor routers, which is where it comes from, which are freely available on the web. And each router hides itself from the previous one. So, and it's usually at least 3 hops. Your third hop is usually your destination. That'll be the fourth. So after the third hop, it's the destination. So the web server doesn't know where you're coming from. All it knows is where the next hop is. And the only downside of this is that it can be a bit slower than your standard web, because each individual request has to go to the next hop and then gets encrypted for the next hop. So it can take a bit of time. So I wouldn't advise using this all of the time unless you don't mind waiting for a bit. And it takes, when you initially set it up and start the browser, because this is all via a browser, you don't need any technical knowledge whatsoever. If you go to the torproject.org, you can download a browser for your desktop, your laptop. You can get them for your tablet, you get them for your smartphone. It can be used on Linux or Windows or the Mac. It's all free. and it allows you to, in almost complete secrecy, browse and use the internet. Even Facebook has got a website on the dark web, but you can just use it for standard stuff. I mean, you can use it for watching, YouTube or brand YouTube or BitChute or whatever. So I'd highly recommend taking a look at this, download it onto whatever device you're using, and start using it, and just see if it suits you. I mean, you don't have to use this, but I would strongly advise at least just testing it. So if you go to torproject.org, and just try it out and see if it suits what you're using the internet for. So the next thing is something I've previously talked about, and it's VPNs, or virtual private networks. VPN, and essentially VPN is an encrypted tunnel between your device and the end server or service. And again, your ISP will not be able to see what you're looking at, and this is known to the security services as a concentrator or an aggregator, because if they tend to love these, because this is something they can target, and it's a concentration of users. So if they, again, the security services usually need a warrant. If they decide they're going to target what you're looking at, they will see that you're actually using a VPN. That's the only thing your ISP will note, as well as that you're using a VPN. So it's really of no use to them whatsoever. There's no history as far as they're concerned. And the security services will hack into VPN providers. They have done it before in the past. They'll do it again in the future. They're probably doing it now. But also keep in mind that some of these are paid for, some of these are free. The free ones generally tend to either have a speed limit or a data usage per day limit on it. There are some very good ones, and I'm showing you here on the actual page of just doing a web search for it. Just do a search, see which one suits you best. There's, I'd also look at the top 10, the top 20, whatever you want, and just do your own research and see what suits for yourself. And you can use both a Tor browser and a VPN at the same time. It's sort of like belts and braces approach. Now, I don't know if you use Google or Bing. And lots of people do use Google. It's by far the largest one. But I'd recommend using a search engine called DuckDuckGo.com. It's not like Google. It doesn't track you. It doesn't keep a note of everything you've looked at in the past. It doesn't sell your data. And I find more and more people are using this every day. I've been using it for, I think, pretty much almost since it came out. Because when Google came out, I think it was just after, it was 2001 when Google came out. I started using that. It was very, very different from what it is now. But since I've pretty much used DuckDuckGo since the day it came out, and it just stops it from being tracked. All your searches are private. It just keeps you away from Google. And I don't really use Google Mail, and I don't really use G Drive, because everything you do with Google, it's searchable, it's tracked, your data is aggregated. So I just try and stay away from all of those. So look at the Tor browser, look at potentially a VPN, maybe even use both, but I'd definitely advise you to use the DuckDuckGo as a search engine. Again, you can set this as a standard on your phone or on your tablet or on your desktop, and the predictive text you find when you're typing stuff into the search bar and it comes up with potential answers for what you're searching for, that was something that DuckDuckGo came up with. It was their invention. They tried to sue Google. It didn't work, unfortunately. Well, that's it. Again, I don't think this RIPA Act is any good. In fact, as I say in here, it's double plus Ungood. That's a nice bit of 1984, bit of George Orwell there for you. If you like this, please press the thumbs up. Please subscribe, and if you can spread this far and wide, that'd be great. I'm trying to get, I'm about at 124 subscribers at the minute. I'm trying to get over 1,000. So if you can spread this to your friends, I'd certainly appreciate it. So that's me done for now. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, for looking in, and I'll see you on the next one.